Hi, I'm back. Trying to build a bit of runner consistency. I know, before you say it, let's all laugh. I hate my hair at the moment, and by the looks of things, make the jokes. I hate my mom, all that kind of stuff. No, I'm just growing it out. It's taken a while. Anyway, okay, you've got the laughs out of your system. All right, let's go now. So, I think the main thing in life that people like to claim is super important is friendship and being around other people. And obviously, humans are social animals. So it is important to have friends. It's important to have these connections with people. I think it's actually super important, hot take here, to be able to be self sufficient, to be able to feel, I guess, functional without having to rely on other people. I know a lot of people, certainly around my age, I'm 20, that really rely on other people to get them through the week, whether it's a partner, whether it's parents, or just general other people, mates, even like colleagues sometimes. I think it's hugely important that we are able to be lonely in some ways and feel happy. When I mean lonely, I don't mean as in the term, alone, like genuinely feeling anxious or negative, having negative attributes attached to, loneliness. I'm meaning being lonesome, being alone, and being content with being alone, maybe even happy. Um, it's always said in like studies and stuff that when people are eating alone, they generally like looking around a lot, kind of seeing, what they can be doing, and kind of trying to fit in. And while it is obviously part of our nature, we are a social species. It's hard quote, like kind of coded into us that we survive better in groups, so we should be in groups all the time when we can be. Obviously, in the modern day, you don't need that as much. In the modern day, in all honesty, I think it's almost a hindrance in the West, or certainly the area like the UK I'm living in at the moment. Um, because people start to feel worthless when people don't want to be around them, when people are kind of maybe more detached. And I have a detached personality anyway. Like most of my friends will tell you, I'm here one day, gone tomorrow kind of friend. And, if someone really needs something, I'm there, but in terms of consistency, if they're like, oh, yeah, some people really want to meet up every day, some people, quite needy. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like we're saying, it is kind of just natural. But there is a layer to which I think it's super important that you are able to eat on your own, that you are able to do things on your own. And when I say on your own, I genuinely mean on your own. I think there's a lot of kind of fake loneliness now, if that makes sense. And I'm not meaning that as in like an edgy thing, like, oh, you're being fake lonely, like you're being performatively lonely, even though that does definitely exist. I'm meaning more that, like, because we all have this brilliant device in our pockets these days, that we can communicate with anyone across the world on within a few seconds. And then people are like, I'm lonely. But yeah, you're physically lonely, potentially. You're still probably talking to loads of people on the phone every day or on the computer or wherever you talk to people. A lot of people with technology or access to technology are talking to people. They're not alone and they're listening to podcasts or music or talk shows or the radio, like anything like that, just media in general, right? Does that make you feel less lonely? Yes, because it's human interaction. Is it interaction in terms of are you saying anything? No, but you get the same kind of relationship with that you would potentially talking to someone. That's why a lot of people, when they get home, do like to watch YouTube, do like to do these things when they're alone, because it makes them feel less alone. And obviously, it is the entertainment factor. I get that. I think it's interesting, just the kind of choices people make in order to not be alone. And it makes sense because, people like to feel wanted, liked. Surrounding yourself with people, even if that is through a podcast or radio or something, makes you feel less lonesome. Like people often say, if you're alone too long by yourself, you go crazy, this kind of stuff. I mean, that's what the whole point of solitary confinement is it not? And I'm not saying, going to that extreme, but it's super important that you can just find solace basically on your ones because I know a lot of people will always have people around, housemates, co-workers, friends, all that kind of stuff. But there are times in life where I don't want to get morbid, but those things aren't the things that are going to drag you through. You kind of have to have a good, resolute, build in yourself to be able to then power through those moments, because no one else is going to help you. And they might say they're going to help you, and they might genuinely be doing the best to help you. There are situations where you're the camel, you've been taken to the water, you have to drink, right? You're the one that has to make that action. And I think you're not going to get that reaction if you're always around people, because you'll be too comfortable with saying to someone else, like, yo, can you help me with this? Can you do this? Can you do this? That person's good at this, I'll get them to do this. Like, for a lot of things in life, that is really useful, right? Knowing people is always good. If you do have like a boiler leak or something, and you've got a mate who's, super on tech with that, then wicked, yeah, it helps you. I just think there's a lot of moments, especially with this, where you need to be able to work things out yourself. And there are certain times where, say you've got partner issues, you can't then go and speak that about with your partner all the time. If you've got a good, stable relationship, you hopefully can. There are times where you're like, I'd rather speak to someone else. And there are times I genuinely think it is best to just internalize and work them out for yourself. Because not all the answers are on trees or on a tablet, or, from speaking to a medical professional or your mates. They might help. Perspective's always good. But at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to have to make that decision, hopefully, for yourself to then be able to do something. And you only gain those skills by being alone. I think personally. Obviously it's good to have different interpretations and different people's perspectives if it's a big jump. You can't always have that. And I think where a lot of people fall short is that it's kind of like the constant will to please others or have other people's kind of preferences met, which again is very important for relationships. It's very important. I'm not just saying relationships as in like significant other relationships, like family relationships, friends, even animals to an extent. It is really useful to be able to express what you want, what you need, and how they can then do that. And if they then do that, then, it's good. And if not, then they probably got their reasons for not doing it, right? But I think you've got to have your own reasons for doing things. And you've got to have your own reasons and be able to then kind of step back those reasons, why you've done it, why you're going to do it, or why you shouldn't have done that, and what you're going to do next time. That only really comes from you. I know people can say, oh, but you've got all these externals, like, the police force, say, for example, you want to do something, but it's illegal, or you want to do something, but your family won't let you, or you want to be a certain thing, and it's kind of like, you're not able to. Well, yeah, that is the world to an extent, but the more you can think about it yourself, and then think about maybe then afterwards what other people can do for you, how they can help you, and if it's genuinely what you want in the first place. And then, yeah, maybe you will have to make compromises. Maybe then you will have to change what you're doing. Maybe then you will have to adapt, what you're doing, because someone else then comes into the picture. The amount of people who say before they get into a relationship, I really want this thing. I really want a dog or a cat or something. And then maybe they end up with someone who's allergic to dogs or cats. It's like, well, okay, they can't have the dog or cat then. Or maybe they can and they compromise and all this stuff, right? But I think first and foremost, it's good to think alone. It's good to spend time alone, without your phone, without like any other tech, without any noise, just outside if you can. Just walk, or even alone in your bedroom, or just somewhere that you know that you're going to get that kind of headspace right. You're not speaking to anyone, you're not doing anything, social, to be honest, where you can just sit and think. And I know it's one thing that a lot of people kind of, it's always the whole thing that it's like terrifying. They had that quiz thing, weren't they? And they were going up to people and saying, oh, is there anything more scary than sitting alone? And a lot of people said no, because they genuinely believe, and I don't know if they're just being edgy, I know, ironic, shut up, about, your own mind, and it overcomplicates things. Yes, it does. But if actually you sit there long enough, oftentimes, if you can train yourself to think like effectively, you will find the solutions that you genuinely want, the reasons for wanting it, or the reasons for not wanting it. And I think that's where it's good to get to, where you can consistently be doing that fairly fast and trust your decisions. And that, I think, is the key to balance in your life, whatever that might be. Balance for you might be that. Balance for you might be that. I know it doesn't look balanced on the scales because everyone thinks balance is 50-50. But genuinely, balance could be 90-10 for you. You just got to work it out. Test your mind. Be on your own for a bit and just think. and then maybe bring in other people, then maybe, even just keep it to yourself. Because sometimes the best ideas you don't want to share, you know? Anyway, that's me rambling. And yeah, thanks for watching, listening. If you're still watching, I don't know why, but I appreciate you. And yeah, I'll see you soon.